Hidden in the northern Rocky Mountains lies the small mining town of Butte, Montana. During the mining booms of the 19th and 20th centuries, many cultures and people of diverse backgrounds came to the town dubbed the richest hill on earth. Butte drew in many backgrounds including Danes, Welsh, Greeks, Swedes, Jews, Chinese, and the Irish. Along with multiple cultures came a variety of religions. Two of the most prominent were Catholics and Protestants, who did not get along and had a history of causing problems for each other in Ireland, as well as exchanging violence in Butte. In the 1970s, a program called Project Children was brought to Butte's attention. Butte families opened their arms to bring in children from Ireland, both Protestant and Catholic, to come and live together. The purpose of this project was to show the children that they could peacefully encounter each other despite their religious and political differences. At first, the program had no impact, but over time, the program would change the children one by one. Children would come to Butte, learn to live in Butte in an Irish culture without violence, and take their knowledge back to Ireland in an effort to influence their families and communities to become more peaceful. It did not completely stop violence between the Catholics and the Protestants, nor did it counter the troubles in Ireland. The impact was that Project Children gave Irish children an opportunity to experience life in an Irish culture without the violence in Ireland, and this experience influenced one child at a time, and change begins with individuals. Catholicism, a denomination of Christianity, first became popular in Butte during the late 1800s and early 1900s when the mining boom erupted in the small Montana mining town. This boom drew in immigrants of all religions from all around the world. Protestantism also came to Butte around the same time. In the Catholic religion, practiced by many Irish and non-Irish residents of Butte, they believed in different values than the Protestants, such as the fact that a pope would be the head of their religion. A second cause for these disagreements is that Catholic churches were founded by Jesus, followed by Peter, and then by all popes. Another reason is the fact that the idea of purgatory is very different in their eyes. Catholics believe that heaven and hell are your eternal fates, and a third state before heaven is known as purgatory. Contrasting to Catholics, Protestants believe that a single pope would not be their leader. Protestants have denied the idea of purgatory, a middle state, and believe that worshiping God will send you to heaven, and not believing will send you to hell. Instead of a pope, Protestant churches are led by their own pastors, elders, and deacons. These main differences are what caused trouble both in Ireland and in Butte. During the 3 decades throughout 1968 to 1998, problems known as the Troubles were causing conflict in Northern Ireland. These problems were caused by the disagreements over the constitutional status of Northern Ireland. Loyalists or Unionists, who were predominantly Protestants, wanted to remain a part of the United Kingdom, while Nationalists or Republicans, who were mostly Catholic, wanted to separate and join a united Ireland. Though this was not a religious conflict and mostly dealt with political issues, it did strike up confrontations between the two religions. Violence between the Unionists and Republicans, or Protestants and Catholics, was not uncommon.
Why don't you see your buddy back home?
Because he lives, I'm a Protestant, he's a Catholic, and you live in areas, they don't live next to each other.
The violence included car bombs, shootouts, street battles, and other violent acts. These atrocities caused the death of roughly 3,500 civilians between 1968 and 1998. Roughly 1,525 were Catholic, and 1,250 of them were Protestant. Among those dead were 530 children, between the ages of 0 and 19. Project Children was founded in 1975 by Dennis Mulcahy, a New York resident and part of the police working as a bomb squad detective, but was not brought to Butte, Montana until the early 90s. Butte was the perfect option because it was highly populated with Irish immigrants but lacked the violence of their homeland. In Butte, children from Northern Ireland came for 6-week sessions. Many of the children, who ranged in ages from 9 to 14, lived with host families. Jerry Sullivan, a Butte native and son of an Irish immigrant, had worked with Project Children since he first heard of it through a meeting and presentation given by John Agner, who was familiar with the program.
I read about it in the newspaper. There was a meeting that was held at the, as I recall, it was at the Knights of Columbus, wherein an individual whose name is John Agner made a presentation on Project Children. And John Agner at the time lived in Missoula, and he described the program as an effort to look for families to sponsor, kids to come and that kind of thing. So I thought it was a good idea, so that's how I had heard about it.
Over the years, Sullivan had hosted about 10 children and had been involved in the program for many years. The children came from Belfast, Northern Ireland's capital and largest city, from both religious backgrounds. Living conditions in Ireland were far different from what the children had come to know in Butte. Some children came from very rough families.
A place in Belfast that is called Divis Flats, which at the time was a very poor Catholic housing area that was very close to the Protestant part of Belfast. And the living conditions in that building were very, very difficult. Kids were burned out of their homes and died in those fires, and the rioting in the areas which they lived. One of the kids brought back to me, he had come one year and came back another year, and he brought back a rubber bullet that had been fired at him, and it missed him, as luck would have it, and then he ran after it, picked up the rubber bullet, and smuggled it back to me in the States as a gift. I still have it.
These children who came from these troubled homes were guests in Butte, living in a highly populated Irish city without the violence they had experienced in Ireland. In a city of Irish people, both Protestant and Catholic, this new environment taught them many lessons. Unlike the troubles in Ireland, these children didn't have to see violence on a daily basis, nor did they have to experience it right in front of them. This program took them away from that for 6 weeks, and in those 6 weeks, the ideas that caused turmoil between Catholics and Protestants could be altered in a child's mind.
The Protestant kid ended up being in the best man at the Catholic's marriage and those kinds of things, subsequent to them having been here.
Coming to Butte, these children would be placed with families that had one Catholic and one Protestant family member, and they would experience living in a mixed household. Children involved in the program would participate in Butte Irish celebrations such as parades and St. Patrick's Day, live life with their host family like many did with Jerry Sullivan, and would experience all Irish Butte culture had to offer. However, not all effects of their previous homes were gone, and though the children participated, the troubles in Ireland still affected them even in Butte. Even after the children had gone home, they did their best to influence the people around them with the things they had learned in Butte. But many children were returning to homes that were not safe. And with parents involved in the troubles, the children had little to no chance of making a huge difference. The difference came with the individuals. Then, as time went on and the early 2000s appeared, Project Children had become less of a religious program and more of an opportunity for interns in Ireland to come and travel to the United States. As said by Alan Hamill, who came to Butte as part of the program in 2002, religion was not a huge issue then.
When I entered the program, I already was aware of the Catholic Protestant religion. I was aware of the differences, and I didn't judge anybody personally. So I was worried that I would meet other people who would, but during the training, I found no issues with anybody. Nobody seemed to have a problem from the Protestant background, and vice versa with the Catholic. We just seemed to get on with the program. We all were excited because we knew we were going to be traveling all the way to America for the first time. There was no issues there. We got along. We worked as a team together. You know, we had to do a lot of water sports, team building exercises. You know, we went camping. It was a real eye-opener to understand the relationship of each other from different backgrounds before we actually left our own island to come to Butte, Montana. So I thought that was a really, really good experience to prepare us.
However, that was not the same for people still in Ireland. Not all turmoil had settled, and though the bombings and shootings had decreased, there was still violence and most definitely harsh feelings towards one another. Even though this was the case in Ireland, Project Children was able to influence individuals that took part in the program, and that is the lasting legacy of Project Children. Since 1975, Project Children has helped change many individuals. After its 40th anniversary in 2015, Project Children ceased operation. Irish children will no longer come to Butte, Montana through the program. Project Children work to change individuals and create deep-rooted friendships. The purpose of Project Children was to show Irish children that they could peacefully encounter each other despite their religious and political differences. Irish children came to Butte for this experience, and over time, they learned to live together. Project Children gave Irish children an opportunity to experience life in an Irish culture without the violence in Ireland, and this experience influenced one child at a time, and change begins with individuals.